guys? It's Joshua Reviews. And guys, it's not Christmas yet. It's not December. It's November. So, this is around the time I kind of get in the mood for a movie that, gives me that semi-Christmas vibe, but is not like a Christmas movie. So, I figured, let's review a movie that... Snow. Black Mountainside. That is the movie we are checking this one out. So, this movie came out in 2013. I'm just going to flat out say it. This is a The Thing inspired movie, though I think it's more cosmic horror than it is creature feature, because The Thing is like a sci-fi creature feature that takes place in the snow. This is more like cosmic horror, but it definitely is The Thing inspired. I mean, you can tell that there is a lot of similarities to it. I mean, so this is about a bunch of archaeologists in the snow, and they find this temple or something. They dig and uncover this statue or whatever with these ancient ruins, and I guess upon studying it throughout the month of November and leading to December, weird shit starts happening. People start losing their minds. Eventually one of them starts seeing a deer that can do things. That's all I'm going to say without spoiling that. And yeah, they got to find out what the hell's going on and if they can survive this ordeal. So I love The Thing. It is a great horror movie. It is a great sci-fi horror film. It's a great creature feature. And if you like The Thing, this is a solid movie. I am not even gonna lie. I heard a lot of people talk about this movie. It caught my interest a few years back. I was like, what is this movie? I love movies that take place in the snow. I think it is a really cool and unique setting. And if you guys have been around this channel long enough, you guys probably know that I love Christmas. So this kind of gave me that perfect winter feel. And I also think that for a horror movie, the snow setting just really lets people be creative. There's a lot you can do in the snow or, snow environment. And they take advantage of that. One of the things I really liked about this movie was how isolated and desperate the people felt in this movie. You really get the sense of that they are isolated. If I had to compare this movie to another film besides The Thing, I'd probably say The Lighthouse, because that movie takes a lot from H.P. Lovecraft, and this movie, obviously, I think is inspired by a lot of H.P. Lovecraft, and they're kind of waiting for their shift to end at the end of the month, but things start happening, so, things get delayed and other things start happening, and one of the things I was concerned about going into this film was that it was going to be a direct copy of The Thing, that it was going to be like a creature feature, which is fine if it's a copy, but it's like, this is a relatively low budget movie, so, if it's going to imitate The Thing, it's not going to be a well-made, ripoff or whatever, but this movie thankfully avoids coming across as like a ripoff to The Thing. You could watch these two movies back to back and not feel like you watched the same thing. The only similarities is, the setting and, the fact that it's a group of researchers. Although I think in The Thing, it's been a while since I've seen The Thing, but I think it's they're like, I forget what they are. I forget what they're researching, but in this movie, they're archaeologists. I don't think they're archaeologists in the original Thing, because if you guys know that The Thing is actually a remake. John Carpenter's The Thing is based off the original The Thing from Another World, which I did not like, but I digress. I really like the fact that they didn't say, hey, this is similar to The Thing, so let's just, rinse and repeat. Let's just copy that. No, they actually did their own thing. I actually thought some of the choices they made in this film were really surprising. There were some scenes that genuinely were freaky. One in particular where they were just having a normal conversation, and then out of the blue, and this is a slight spoiler, but you won't know when it happens. I'm not going to pinpoint when it happens, but there's a point where they're talking at a dinner table, and one of the guys just throws up. And I don't know, the way it's done just made me feel unsettled. I was like, okay, it was weird. Okay, where is this going? And one of the things I think about that I think works the best about this movie is, again, the isolation setting, but the fact that there's no music throughout this movie. There's hardly any music. Most of the movie is just wind ambience of like the snow, and the way the movie just captures that isolated feeling of being in the winter cold, and just the characters start to lose their minds, and you really feel stuck. It almost kind of becomes claustrophobic in the areas that they're in, or the spot they're in. I also really did like the characters. That was kind of something I was surprised. A lot of horror movies nowadays have characters that just get themselves in the most outlandish and stupid situations because of their own actions, which I don't mind if it is to serve the story. Like if a character loses their phone or something, it's like, whatever, okay? If they don't have service, that makes sense. That's to serve the plot. But nothing in this movie felt like dumb. All the characters I felt made rational decisions, and while I'm not going to remember these characters, like they're not, the best characters ever written or anything, but like I thought the way they interacted off each other felt natural, and I also felt that they made the most logical, reasonable decision that they could concerning the situation. Like there's a guy who starts having a seizure, and then they find out there's something in his arm, so they have to make a quick and drastic call on what to do, and it felt natural. I was kind of like, okay, that seems natural. That's something I would do. Well, maybe I wouldn't cut off a guy's arm, but but it made sense for the scene. I was like, okay, that makes sense. There wasn't any point in the movie where I was like, oh God, what are they doing? These guys are stupid. So thank God that wasn't an issue, because I've seen a lot of horror films that do that. Something I will mention though, I think this is a solid film. I just want to get that out of the way. But I will mention this. This is a very slow film. There's not a lot of, there's not like a lot of action. It's not like The Thing where things are getting outlandishly crazy. There's a lot of talking. There's a lot of character building. There's a lot of themes and lore that's being explained. There's a scene where a character is literally like explaining what the statue is talking about, and they're talking about this deer, and the more the film continues, you learn more about the deer, and then you see the deer. And I was kind of thinking, okay, how are we going to handle this? Is this going to be really cheesy, or is this going to be really interesting? And by the end, I was like, okay, this is pretty good. The way they've been handling this, I like it. You can tell that a lot of thought went into making this movie. Even with a low budget, they made do with what they had. There's a lot of scenes that really got under my skin. Like when they're talking about, like they get a call that, one of their coworkers or whatever, one of the teammates or one of the guys died. And it just quick cuts to the dead body. And I'm like, oh, that was a choice. That was creepy. Okay. Kudos to you, filmmakers. I like that. They really knew how to shoot scenes, or at least the director knew how to shoot scenes, but also not make it look cheap. This film is very, very well shot, and I really got to commend the filmmakers for making this movie on whatever tight budget I'm sure they must have been on. Now, despite the fact that I think this is a solid movie, it's not my favorite movie. I think there are some scenes that kind of drag. I will say this, I do think, now I'm not expecting every movie to have every scene be action-packed or something, but I think maybe one or two scenes with something a little more going on could have been interesting. I think after a while, I get a little tired of hearing the same kind of dialogue about the lore on the thing that's doing this to them. It's like, I get it, and not only that, it's also left very ambiguous, so them just explaining the lore is like, okay, that's cool and all, but like, you could be doing some something else. You know, like there could be more added. But I think for what they did, this is a solid horror film. It's not great by any means, but this is a solid horror film. There's some cool creative choices that they do with the camera work. The setting is great. The isolation, the fact that there's no music almost throughout the film. The characters are likable, feel real. The desperation that you get from them. I think it's like a 2 to 3 minute one take shot that really impressed the hell out of me. I was like, ooh, that's unsettling. I like that. So there were some moments like that in this film that I gotta commemorate the filmmakers. I will say though, my biggest criticism is the ending. It just ends abruptly, and I'm like, that's where we're ending it? Okay. That's a choice. So, all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give this movie a B. A respectable B. B as in black. Mountainside. So yeah, check it out. It's pretty good. I might review another snow-related horror film, or maybe I'll get to Wolf Creek. Or maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.